Back to Lee and League Guild's dungeon raid. A League Guild hunter has disabled all the traps. Now that it's safe, Yo orders everyone to proceed ahead. But as they are marching forward, some monsters start firing some arrows at them. A League Guild hunter blocks the arrows with his skill Earth Barricade, while another hunter immediately launches a counterattack with his Fireball spell. Lee is super impressed seeing these experienced hunters in action. But that's nothing compared to Yo, who charges up for an attack. And in a single attack, he wipes a horde of strong goblin monsters. There are even hobgoblins that were destroyed in that same attack. Such is the incredible power of a top hunter like Yo. Lee steps forward and compliments Yo, and thanks him for joining at his request. Yo smiles and says he knows the real reason Lee asked for his help. It was so Lee can judge how strong the League Guild truly is. Lee smiles. He knows that Yo has not even shown his real abilities yet. Meanwhile, a guild member is curious to see the super rookie in action as well. Lee is happy to oblige because he trusts these people, and there is no need to keep secrets from them. So when the next batch of goblins arrive to attack them, Lee coats his spear in fire from the get-go, and stands firm in his place, even with so many goblins attacking all at once. Guild members instantly notice that Lee never chanted anything to activate his fire skill, while Lee slashes all the goblins in one go, cutting them down even before they hit the ground. This man has grown even stronger. Yo recognizes that Lee's burning shield and spear are not a skill, Lee has an authority. A voice appears. You have cleared the Goblin Mage's dungeon. The Sky of Apocalypse sponsors you. Your stats will increase by a small amount. Returning from the dungeon, guild members are happy they saw the super rookie in action. Another guild member is angry at his guild master Yo for not recruiting an unparalleled talent like Lee. So Yo reminds Lee that his offer still stands. He knows Lee has been walking a harsh path alone, and if he joins their guild, those North Army people won't be able to lay a finger on him. And for his sake, Yo even offers him the Vice Guild Master position if he joins now. Hearing this shocks everyone. A Vice Guild Master position is a big deal. Even Lee is shocked to hear an offer this tempting. But he composes himself and refuses the offer with a sad look on his face. Yo smiles and says he knows that Lee is after something much greater, so he shouldn't feel sorry. Then out of nowhere, an important notification shows up on Lee's phone. The Hunter Association has posted an urgent request. They want North Army Guild and 100 other hunters to close a dungeon gate for them. Lee instantly knows it's a trap set for him by Choi Sung and the association. Yo also knows that calling a big guild like North Army by their name and 100 other hunters seems really unnatural. It's clear as day, the Hunter Association and North Army Guild are working hand in hand. Meanwhile, at the North Army Guild HQ, Chang is sitting alone wondering why his fellow members Choi Sung and Choi Soo have changed so much. These two brothers were his friends from a young age, but something changed about them ever since they met that particular person. Choi Soo used to be kind and warm, but now he and his brother have intense hate for all the non-hunters. Now they are trying to kill a single hunter for merely doing the right thing. Chang thinks he needs to do something, but he can't abandon his two friends. It's his time to choose between justice and his friendship. After this, the scene changes to an abandoned factory, where Lee and Chang are meeting in secret. Lee introduces himself, but Chang refuses to give his name. Chang is shocked that Lee decided to show up alone in such a shady place. Lee assures him that there are no traps so he can rest easy. Chang warns Lee that he must refuse the recent mobilization order from the association. But when Lee asks why, Chang explains that his guild will also be there and hunters can be dangerous people. He thinks Lee doesn't know that, since he is a rookie. Their guild master is a terrifying guy to face in the city, but inside the gate, there are no laws. Lee listens carefully and asks, since North Army has no morals to speak of, are they a chaos guild perhaps? Turns out, there is such a thing as evil sponsors. These evil sponsors reward their hunters for doing all kinds of evil things including mass murders. And when these evil hunters form a guild, their guild is called a chaos guild. Chang is angered by Lee calling his guild a chaos guild. But Lee continues to provoke him, insulting his guild for being so evil. So finally Chang pulls out his sword and gets ready to attack Lee. He loudly warns Lee to not say another bad word about the North Army Guild. But Lee starts to get ready for battle himself. He says even Chang should know by now that the North Army Guild is rotten. Their guild is beyond saving. Lee also reveals that he knows about how Chang's fellow vice leader and his leader have changed ever since they met that person. Chang is shocked. How did Lee know about that person? Later he starts heading back, and he wonders how Lee got to near the level of an A-rank hunter like him. That too, only in just a month of awakening. He realizes that he knows nothing about Lee. Meanwhile, Lee knows everything about Chang. In the future, Chang was known as the Immortal Dragon Slayer. He got that name after he killed the Demon King's avatar all alone, a particularly strong avatar called the Bone Dragon. And all the sponsors were so impressed that he was even granted an authority called immortality. But nonetheless, he died tragically, killed by his own fellow Vice Guild leader Choi Su, the childhood friend he was so loyal to. Lee believes he needs to get Chang on his side before that tragedy unfolds, since Chang was the only good person in that rotten North Army Guild. Later, Lee clears another dungeon called the Land of the Deaf, but this time even his metal spear disintegrates. He has become too powerful for these normal weapons, so naturally he needs a custom weapon, and he knows just the place to get it. Later that day, Lee enters a medieval-looking blacksmith shop, where a young man with red hair is hard at work. This young man is to become the best blacksmith in the world, and his name is Brock. Brock is so focused that he works tirelessly for a whopping 4 hours straight, until finally, he notices Lee is in his shop. Brock asks why Lee is seeking such an unknown blacksmith like him. The truth is, Lee knows the future thanks to the Demon King's book, but Lee lies to Brock and says that actually his sponsor told him to seek Brock out. Brock is shocked. He thought only his sponsor directly intervened with him. Since sponsors are not that direct, he knows that Lee is special. In the future, Brock was the one who made the Demon King's weapon. But Brock later on worked with the 12 gods as well. And when the Demon King started opposing the 12 gods, Brock's relationship with the Demon King was cut off. In his autobiography, Demon King wrote that the future would be really different if only Brock had stayed by his side. In the present, Brock refuses to make equipment for Lee since his shop's furnace is not good enough. Hearing this, Lee smiles and pulls out his hand, and a bright red flame comes forth. He reveals that he has the authority to rule over all fire, but Brock is still not impressed with the flame's strength. When suddenly the flame turns blue, it's much hotter. Seeing this, Brock is pretty impressed. And after just a week's worth of work, Brock is done with Lee's custom spear. Lee is shocked to see it, but Brock is not satisfied with his creation, since Brock's partner is currently unavailable. Seems like it was too much work for him to do alone. He says that, but this spear is super cool. It strengthens the rule over fire, and it's even a growth-type weapon with rank of unique. Lee is in disbelief because weapon drops in dungeons just go up to a rare rank, and even famous blacksmiths are praised if they are able to create super rare rank weapons, while this guy just made him a unique rank weapon like it's nothing. With this kind of talent, Lee won't ever need to go anywhere else for his weapons. Brock says this spear is still incomplete, and once in a while, he will need to strengthen this weapon. But just as Lee is about to leave after saying thanks, Brock mentions that he is getting a bad feeling about this bracelet on Lee's hand. Lee knows that Brock is onto something. His bracelet might need something more than monster souls, so he won't be able to activate it before this upcoming raid. Later on, Lee is in a dungeon, where he is thinking about getting stronger fast before his dungeon raid with the North Army Guild. Lee thinks that if he can turn Chang to his side, his chances of winning will greatly increase. From a distance, the monsters are coming at Lee. On a closer look, it's a horde consisting of orcs and hobgoblins. But this new weapon has made him stronger. From now until 2 weeks are up, Lee will spend every waking second leveling up. And finally, it's the day of the dungeon raid, and we are at North Army Guild headquarters where Choi Sung is making a speech for his underlings. A voice appears in Choi Sung's head. Ruler of Riverside pays attention to you. In his speech, Choi Sung says that today is the day the North Army Guild shows its power to the world. And the guild members seem excited about the upcoming battle. Choi Sung shows off his magic power, and Chang notices that he is at peak rank level, while Choi Su thinks his brother has fulfilled the conditions of becoming a hero-class hunter. Choi Sung continues with his fiery speech, and his hunter underlings are all fired up. Turns out, with this raid, Choi Sung is after the title of the king. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Kim is driving Lee to the dungeon gate. He is still trying to convince Lee not to go. Kim tells Lee about an incident when the North Army wiped out a whole guild that joined them for a raid. However, there is no evidence North Army actually wiped them since it happened in the gate. Lee says there is no doubt they did the killing. Hearing this, Kim is so shaken that he loses control of the vehicle and slams the brakes. He shouts at Lee, "There is nothing more important than a person's life, and going in that gate with North Army is nothing short of throwing your life away." He begs Lee not to go, but Lee is calm and collected. He smiles and assures Kim that he knows the value of life very well, and he is not someone who just jumps into things without thinking. And today he will teach these North Army scum the value of a person's life. The scene then cuts to a huge portal near a riverside. There is a huge crowd gathered outside the gate, with hunters mingling together and media people reporting this huge raid. Yo is there to see off Lee. Sadly, his guild was not allowed to take part in this, but the least he can do is to wait for Lee to return. Choi Sung notices Yo is there too and he passes a devious smile. While Yo turns to Lee and says, I know I can't stop you from going, but know that Choi Sung may be listed as a B rank, but he is A rank level now. Yo sits on the bench calmly and says he'll be waiting right here, and if Lee doesn't come back, he will not let the North Army Guild get away with it. Lee is honestly shocked to see how crazy Yo can be. He is talking about wiping a whole guild like it's nothing. As the raid begins, Lee thinks this is the Riverside Gate where Choi Sung gained the title of War King Gunther and became a hero-class hunter. Countless hunters died in this raid in Lee's timeline, but today he will change the history. And finally, as Lee enters the Riverside Dungeon Gate, something changes with the gate's energy. Choi Sung smiles and thinks it's beginning, and voice appears. Due to the gate's special trait, the gate's magic value is changing. All the other hunters are shocked. They can't believe that this gate has leveled up from B rank to a B+ rank. The voice continues. The gate's special trait is activating. The gate's exit has been blocked. Then the gate turns red color, and hunters are in fear. They have been locked in. The voice continues. Countless incarnations have gathered in one location. The sponsors are paying attention to you. The magic density is increasing. The hunters are feeling their bodies burning. They are getting stronger. Voice continues. Incarnations have entered the special gate. The sponsor's interest has risen. The magic density is increasing. The readings are off the charts. This is bad, until finally the gate rank increases once again. And it's now an A rank gate. The panic is exploding as hunters begin to show off their aggression towards each other. But soon despair looms over their head. An A rank gate is impossible to clear without a hero-class hunter. They are about to die. Lee is pretty unfazed by all of this, but he is not alone. North Army Guild is also suspiciously really calm. Seems like they know all about this. Lee knows that this whole stage has been created just for them. A voice appears. The wave will soon begin. Choi Sung shouts at everyone, telling them to calm down. He pretends as if he doesn't know anything about these changes, and tells everyone that gates can be really unpredictable at times. But now is not the time to give up. Choi Sung acts all inspiring and says that he promises that he will lead everyone to victory. A voice resounds. The ruler of the Riverside is attempting to dominate the Riverside. And it's working, as this speech has some kind of magical effect on hunters that are not even part of the North Army Guild. This magic effect is actually an authority Choi Sung possesses. It's called rule over the Riverside. In areas with the river, leadership and incitement triple in effectiveness. A voice appears in Lee's head. The influence of the Sky of Apocalypse has resisted the forced incitement and leadership. Lee acknowledges the effectiveness of Choi Sung's authority. He has everyone in his pocket. Hearing Choi Sung's speech, Choi Su asks him to lead this attack. But Choi Sung refuses. Choi Sung orders them to proceed as according to their plan. Since this raid will have multiple waves, they need to preserve North Army forces, while these other hunters sacrifice themselves fighting the monsters. Although they will save the last few hunters, just in the nick of time, when North Army will swoop in to finish the boss monster, and these remaining hunters will tell the world how they were saved. Choi Su says that even with your authority in effect, these hunters will eventually notice that the North Army Guild is not fighting with them. Hunters are not stupid. Choi Sung replies that's why their plan includes sacrificing some fodder North Army hunters as well to make this plan more believable. Choi Su is pretty shocked that his brother will sacrifice his own guild members for his gain. While Choi Sung looks at Lee, who can be a wild card in this situation. Lee looks back menacingly, staring at him. Choi Sung thinks he will need to get rid of Lee as soon as possible. He calls in Chang for a special mission. He thinks of Chang as his very own loyal dog, although he has not told Chang about his plan because of Chang's good nature. Choi Sung orders Chang to keep a close eye on Lee, and to kill Lee whenever the chance arises. He says this is all for the sake of his brothers in the North Army Guild. Chang is obviously very shocked by these orders, but before he could say anything, a voice resounds. The wave has begun, and from the water, some fish monsters called mermen start heading their way.